I'm very pleased to be joined in his first interview by Darius of The Deadnotes. The track, Jesus Christ, I'm Sick and Tired of Falling in Love, is absolutely phenomenal. As soon as I heard it, I couldn't get it out of my head. Loads of the presenters on Phoenix FM feel the same way. And it's taken from the band's new album called ROCK N ROLL SAVIOUS, which is going to be out on the 21st of February. And joining me is Darius from the band. Good morning or good afternoon.
Hello, thanks so much for having me. Wonderful.
It's fantastic to talk to you. As I was saying to you off air, when I got the track, we get songs come through all the time, and I played it and I was like, what is this? Because it is exceptional. It's a really, really strong track. So I've got to ask you first of all, how did that track come to be and where did the ideas come from?
Oh, that's a good question. So if I remember correctly, it was the very first song we wrote for our new record. That was 2 years ago. And I had this kind of rock and roll-y riff that I brought into the rehearsal room. And then Jacob, our bass player, he started jamming along, and he came up with this very cool, this very iconic riff lick in the song that kind of made it throughout the whole record. I think we featured it in 3 different songs, and we loved it so much. And I think at that time we listened to a lot of dad rock, kind of old school stuff from the 80s. And also, I'm a huge fan, I'm a massive fan of Harry Styles and like huge modern pop music. And what song is it? I think it's the first song of the current record from Harry Styles. I can't remember the name, but they also have this very funky bass lick in the verses, some kind of scatting. And I don't know how it all came together. Suddenly it was there.
I love it when he goes sick and tired of falling in love, and you got that like the brass, and then it just goes, and it goes somewhere you don't expect, and that's what keeps you kind of really hooked in. Plus, it's a really strong hook, but it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. There's interest all over the place.
I think that's kind of how the song developed, because in the beginning, it was Jacob, our bass player, and me. I play guitar, and most of the time we work in front of a computer, in front of the DAW, Logic, and we're not playing together. We're just pre-producing and writing at the same time. And then we had our good friend Paul join us, who plays saxophone, who plays piano, and he came up with fantastic ideas for the synthesizer, and with all the saxophones, and kind of, one step at another kind of build up.
Yeah. And how has the track been received? Because it's out, and what reaction have you got back? Are you surprised by the reaction?
It's actually very interesting, because the band developed towards a very new direction with that record compared to the older releases. And we're from Germany, and most people in Germany are very common with our old material. And I think this song was a surprise for most people. And I think it's like slowly starting to take off, but it takes time. Because at first people were a bit confused, and now most people seem to like it. But I think, the perception's getting better and better and better. And
so you said the band's been together for quite a while. How long have you been together, and how did you all get together in the first place?
So Jacob, our bass player, and I, we've been playing together for a long time. So we started making music together when we were 15 and still in school. And 3 years ago, like, the whole thing turned a little bit. Felix joined us as a live drummer, and then Paul joined us, who for the first time helped co-producing the record. He plays saxophone and piano. He joins us live from time to time. So we've been playing together for 15 years. We know those guys for a very, very long time. But the band in this setup is basically completely new. It's the first time we're together as a 4-piece.
How do you put songs together? So is there one of you that maybe does like writes the lyrics, or do you actually get in a collaboration and jam, or is it different every time? Because you sort of, because people work remotely now since COVID. Somebody go, I've done the drums, I've done this, and you can put things together differently. So is it different every time you write something?
So things definitely changed for us during COVID because our old drummer left the band, and Jacob and I started writing together as a 2-piece on the computer and programmed drums together, but still we were both in the room together every time.
Yeah.
And it actually sounds very not romantic at all, but it's actually fantastic because we have no limits at all. We can start arranging strings with MIDI files. We started adding piano, saxophones, and yeah, there were no limits at all. And then we're still a rock band, so we decided, okay, we need somebody to play that. We need somebody to join us. And then we found Paul again. I played together with Paul, our saxophone player, in a big band 10 or 12 years ago. Then we messaged him again, and he was very, very hooked by the material. And yeah, so people joined, more and more people joined, and yeah, that's how this record came together, basically.
Because you've got the album Rock N Roll Saviour, which is out in February on the 21st, not long to go. So you've basically done the whole thing, not only the songwriting and putting all the songs together, probably the artwork, you've done the production as well, you've done the whole thing.
So yeah, we have help from a lot of people that we really admire. For example, Bob Cooper, who is based in Leeds. He's a fantastic producer, and we've been working together for a very long time. I think 7 or 8 years now. So yeah, we recorded the whole thing. Basically, we did all the production in our rehearsal room. Then we had Felix and we had Paul join us for different sessions. And then we all went to the studio in the UK, went to Leeds and recorded better versions of the demos that we already made in our practice room. So yeah, we have a lot of people that help us, but the main part is self-produced. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What song do you wish by another artist that you'd have written?
And to be honest, like a couple of years ago, I would have mentioned 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 different songs. But with this new record that we wrote for the very first time, to me, it felt like, wow, these are songs that I've always wanted to write. And now I'm here. Now I'm at this point. I got my own songs, and I feel like, okay, I thought this was impossible for me to write such a song. And that's mainly due to Jacob, Paul, and Felix, and all the other people involved. Yeah. That's obviously not only me, but at the moment, I'm so happy about my own material. And maybe sounds silly, maybe sounds a bit stupid.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer.
Not, because I feel fantastic and so happy about my own material at the moment. And it's a feeling, yeah, it means everything.
Do you ever feel, maybe even with this latest release, that you feel a song is gifted from the universe? Because I've asked this to so many musicians. They say sometimes a song comes through so quickly, it's like you almost haven't written it. You know you have, but that's how it feels.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Most of the time, it's always the last song you write for a record. Because a song, for example, a song like Jesus Christ took a long time to be where we wanted it to be. But then the last song we wrote for the record, that was Reservoir. That was the first single we put out. And it came together basically in 2 days. And we decided to release it as the very first single. I can't even remember how we wrote it. It was there. We started writing it, and 2 days later, we had basically the final demo. Didn't change a lot in the studio. And most of the time, yeah, it's the last song you write for a record because you know you have to hurry up, and then suddenly something happens because something has to happen.
Here, you've done 600 gigs already over the time.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. Are you going to be? You're going to be going on tour in March. Are you touring this this album. How many songs are on the album, and is there a theme to the album?
So the album features 10 songs, and it's not a concept album in the conventional sense, but since we wrote that record in a very short period of time, there's a lot of connection musically, I'd say. We feature a lot of riffs and different songs, and yeah, it's not a concept album, but it's a story that develops and tell about a lot of different things. And so we start with the first song, December 31st. It's kind of an introduction to the album. That kind of, yeah, stands for new beginning, and it's kind of diary-like. And then we end with, I think the last song is called Texas on My Mind. And yeah, especially that song features many different set of lyrics, and we have another songs features many other licks. It's kind of a summary of the whole journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we really. I'm not a guy for concept albums because I can't really like focus on one story only.
Yeah.
But it's a ride. Yeah.
And is there going to be physical copies, or is it just going to go out on digital, or are you going to do like physical vinyls? Because for bands to make money in 2025 with Spotify, even if you get thousands upon thousands of streams, the money for sort of independent music is really quite bad. And people want to do their art, and they want to be able to make money at doing what they love. It's a job, but it's a job you want to do. You know, I know you don't do it to make money. Most musicians don't. But if you've got sort of Bandcamp and physical sort of things that people can support the band with.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we're very glad to have a German label involved called Kornhotel van Kleef, which is a very big, renowned indie label here in Germany. And yeah, it's the first release through that label. Yeah, so there will be physical copies, there will be vinyl, CDs as well. I think it's the first release on CD in 5 years for us as a band. So yeah, for sure, I think it definitely makes sense, especially in these current times where you don't make money from Spotify at all, literally at all.
No, we'll have to do something about that. All the bands I talk to, there's got to be something that's got to be done, whether they up their rate for the smaller bands to actually be able to make any money, because I don't think people realise. I think it's for is it 10,000 plays? I think you get about £4 sterling or something. It's not much.
To be honest, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think we haven't seen money from Spotify as a band for 5 years. Since all the very little money that we make from Spotify goes to our distribution label, and we still owe money. So we haven't seen money from Spotify in 5 years. And I think that's a reality that most of the bands face.
Yeah,
in these
absolutely. So you're going to be touring. Are you coming to the UK on that tour, or is it just going to be sort of over in Germany, and are you flying all over the place?
Definitely. So in March, we're going to play a couple of shows in Germany to kind of get a feeling of how these new songs are perceived. We're really excited about that. We're playing one of our biggest headline shows ever in our new hometown, Cologne, where the band is currently based. And then later in the year, we have a lot of European tour dates coming up, including the UK. But these are all not announced yet. Can't say more for the moment. But yes, we will be back in the UK, definitely.
Brilliant. I mean, as I said, I think the song is brilliant, and I'm excited to hear the album. Sometimes you hear a standalone song, and people just release song after song, and you don't necessarily want to hear the album. But I feel with this song, it's so strong. I want to know what the rest. I want to know what the rest is. So it's not out until it's the 21st, and then February, and then it's coming out across platforms.
Exactly, and yeah, me too. I'm really excited for people to hear the full record, because we haven't released a full album in a very long time. It's been single after single after single, which I believe is great to gain a new audience, to gain attention in general. But I'm really excited for people to hear a full record that kind of tells a story, because you can't really do that if you only release singles. And I think that our album is a classic album. So it really, really makes sense to hear the full thing.
And quickly, how did you get the name The Deadnotes? How did you decide it? Was it all like names in a hat, or did it take weeks, or did you just?
Oh, I love that question. It's actually like the classic story. We started the band under that name actually when we were 15 and still in school, and I have no idea where that came from. We thought it sounded cool, and then for a couple of years we really, really hated the name because I don't know, it's just a silly the band name. And now that we changed our style and changed our music, we kind of fell in love with it again. I kind of like it. It makes sense. It's a band that focuses on a lot of nerdy musical stuff, like all the saxophone arrangements, whatever. And I started to like it again, which is really great development for me.
And when you're on stage, because you've got a lot of harmonies and stuff going on, you do all that live as well. So what you produce on the record is what you do on stage.
Most of it, yes. So most of the time, or yeah, only on bigger shows we can afford to have like a full band with us, including our saxophone, piano player. But we're always playing as a 3-piece, sometimes as a 4-piece. So we started to work with backing tracks, and that made me really, really change my opinion, change my mind on my take on backing tracks in general. Because I used to hate it, and I heard so many bands with backing tracks that I thought were absolute terrible. But then I found out, okay, playing with a backing track is playing like it's a fourth or fifth, however, musician, and it takes practice, and it's very, very difficult actually. And if you do it right, it can sound fantastic.
Yeah, you can't go round and go, let's do that verse again, because the track is just going. And if you lose concentration, you've got to be exactly where you're meant to be in the track. If you have anything in the background like brass coming in, if you lose it, it just goes. So it is a real discipline to do that on stage. Really.
Absolutely. And still the backing track is kind of dynamic, so you still have to focus to really match the dynamics of the backing track in your actual playing, and all that stuff is really, really hard. And I never noticed that before. But when we started playing with a backing track, I found out, okay, this is actually a big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So the album Rock N Roll Saviour is out on the 21st of February. The release Jesus Christ, I'm Sick and Tired of Falling in Love, which I can hear in my head, is out now. And it's been great talking to you, Darius. So thank you very much. It's Darius from the Deadnotes, and hopefully we'll see you over here in the autumn for a gig or two.
We will. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.